In unprecedented times, multiple teams shutting down their facilities. What's going on?
Laura, we have the NFL wrestling with the first coronavirus crisis of this season. There have been other instances, but none that have threatened the postponement of a game the way that this one currently does. There are 8 Titans employees, 3 players, 5 other individuals who have tested positive, and those are positive tests. They have come back. These are not false positives where they're retesting the samples. They are confirmed positive tests, 8 of them. And you worry for the coaches who are elder in age, and you worry about the particular situation. Now, they are going through other tests of other individuals. While that happens, the Titans have shut down their facility and are working remotely. The same has happened for the Minnesota Vikings, who played the Titans on Sunday in Minnesota, because the NFL is able to do contact tracing and figure out who has been in close contact with who else. And so they can figure out. So the Vikings players and officials are now being tested to see what results come back from those tests. In the interim, the Titans facilities closed this week, maybe until Saturday, and the NFL is trying to figure out if and when it can play the game. We'll see what happens with the next test results that'll come back tomorrow. But right now, it is a fluid situation, it is a unprecedented situation, and it is a disconcerting, troubling situation.
Yeah, Schefter, you mentioned the Titans, even just in their case, having facilities closed until Saturday. I mean, the game would be on Sunday. What will the league consider in terms of having these teams actually play their games on Sunday?
Laura, right now the league wants to and intends to play the game on Sunday. That's its plan. Now, let's see what happens with the rest of the tests. If any other players test positive, it's going to be very difficult to play this game on Sunday. But if the rest of the tests of the Titans players and coaches come back clean and there are no other positives, I think the league will go on with Sunday. If there are positives, then the other contingency plans come into play. And one of those contingency plans would be to move the game possibly to Monday night, which is a possibility anyway, which would give the team more time to do testing, contact tracing, and get the team one day of practice before it could play or would play the Pittsburgh Steelers as it is currently scheduled to do. Meanwhile, in Pittsburgh, activities with the Steelers go on uninterrupted. They get to practice this week. They get to prepare as if there will be a game, while the Titans are doing virtual work without lifting, without on-field work, without on-field preparations for a game that may or may not take place this upcoming weekend.
Just uncharted waters all around. Schefter, stay with us. You'll be joining us throughout this show with more on all this. And Marcus, from the player perspective, you just heard Schefter say it. They're doing activities that are not physical. It's all remote. How do you as a player prepare for a game in just days?
You don't. You can't prepare for a game. The preparation is literally at the facility. Like we can do virtual meetings. Us 3 can sit here and virtually prepare for something that you physically have to do, but you are not physically ready. That's the part that, look, football is a mental game for sure, and you need to have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. But the physical nature of the game as well. During a week of practice in the NFL, you lift weights, you rehab, you have physical looks at what the teams are doing. You have preparation. You go through a lot of scenarios, 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill. You prepare for things that's odd about what the team does you play against. You cannot simulate that any other way than being on the practice field and prepping for what they're doing. Fits, when you talk about linebackers, where they fit on certain plays that teams run. It's a plethora of things that you cannot do and prepare for to talk about playing a game against other professional athletes.
Yeah, my mind goes to 3 things. First of all, my own house, my family, my wife, my kids. And not only that, like, do I have any family members that are living with me, or my parents planning to come visit, but also, like, my kids are going to school. So do I send my kids to school? If I was the parent of another kid in school, like, would I feel comfortable having that happen? Second of all, like, it's not necessarily getting prepared to play. My job is prepared to win. Like, there's no way that I can prepare to actually win this football game. Just speaking from a quarterback sense, and I'll go to this literal example of Tennessee and Pittsburgh. Like, Pittsburgh's got the best blitz package in the NFL right now. I need looks at that blitz package. My running backs do. My linemen do. How are we going to handle all that stuff? You can't give me live reps at that, let alone walkthroughs. And then the thing, I think the Tennessee Titans players, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. I think they have to ask the NFL to move this game. Because, again, if I can't prepare to win that football game, And we know that one game can make the difference between getting in the playoffs or not. Like, Tennessee's 3-0. They're a bona fide football team that was in the AFC Championship game last year. They should not have to be affected or kind of negatively impacted because something out of their control. Because what happens if one game keeps them out of the playoffs or keeps them out of the one seed?
doubt.
That's a big deal.
Well, and we knew, Schefter, that so much of this would just be completely hard to predict. I mean, what do you know about something that has never happened before? So as you hear these guys talking, what's your reaction?
Well, there are a few things. Number one, this was always going to be a season in which certain teams might have advantages at certain points. Some teams are able to have a small smattering of fans while other teams cannot. Advantage to the teams that get some fans. In this particular case, it may be an advantage to the Pittsburgh Steelers that they get to practice on-field work while the Titans don't if the game comes off. But that's just how it's going to be in a season of a pandemic. There's no way around that. The other issue that I think about, that my mind drifts to, is we're 3 weeks into a season where we've already seen a lot of injuries. And I don't know the answer to this, but it's all about health and safety with the virus and as it pertains to the virus. Are there health and safety issues with players suddenly taking a week off from practice and then being asked to play a game that Sunday without having gone through on-field work? I don't know the answer to that, and maybe I'm stretching here, but it seems like there have been enough injuries early in the season to wonder if the lack of work in the offseason, if the lack of preseason games had any contribution to that. And that's the job of the Players Association, to make sure that all safety procedures are followed as closely as they can be.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.